So let's kick it off here with some Dodger talk from Dale. He goes, LOL, the Dodgers may not be able to buy a championship.
Well, if they don't get there this time, people are going to say, see, we told you about the evil empire. See? But this decimation of the pitching staff, last year's starters, and they got a ring, this year's relief pitchers, which could be fatal to them. I went back and did a check today. Their payroll is $383 million, right?
Oh, that's all.
That's all. Their luxury tax is $167 million. They owe baseball $167 million luxury tax October 1st.
Holy crap.
And if they don't get the World Series ring again.
Yeah, but they're still making bank, right?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, they're selling that place out, and tickets are expensive at Dodgers.
But here's the issue. If they don't get to the World Series, and I'll pose the exact same question to Padre fan, if this team does not go in San Diego deep into the playoffs, it's a season of disappointment. It's a season of underachievement. I don't take anything positive from this season if they can't go deep with all the stars they have and the money they spent. No or yes?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously you expect the big payroll teams to be up there, but more often than not, we're seeing a lot of teams that aren't necessarily big spenders that are winning these things. So who knows? I mean, you get into because the Dodgers are probably not going to get a bye. They're going to be the number 3 seed. So that means they're going to have to play a 3-game series at Dodger Stadium. Anything could happen. Mm-hmm. And you just have like one bad game and suddenly you're down 0-1 and you're slipping down the hill and it's over.
Well, then you got the ancillary argument over the next week and a half that we're going to have. What are we doing with Ohtani? Now, I mean, they have a gold standard starting rotation. Let Ohtani pitch 1 inning out of the bullpen in a most critical point. I mean, that's fascinating to me.
Well, they can't. You can't have him do bullpen because then logistically you can't get out to the bullpen and warm up and then get back in the dugout in time for your next at bat. He has to start or not at all, or you have him relieve and not hit. But you're not going to do that.
He's got 51 home runs. You're not taking him out of batting order.
I mean, but still, what a treat it is to be alive when he's alive.
Yeah.
I mean, because this guy literally is unlike any other athlete I've ever seen.
Okay, let's see what other Dodger and Padre fans have to say here. Go ahead, fire away.
Fire away, okay. And this is from MT Rider 91. They're cursed by Mark Walters.
He's talking about Dodger ownership, etc. They got the resources. I mean, they sure have accumulated tremendous diamonds on that roster, and have sure been battered by injury 2 years in a row. I don't know. I guess he's counting the Dodgers out. He says this is the way it's going to be. They're going to wind up losing. It's going to be fatal. This bullpen is going to be fatal to Dodger baseball. How about that? Wouldn't that be a topic?
What happens is the Padres are the cursed team. The Dodgers will stumble and bumble, but they'll still end up winning in spite of themselves.
But they earned it. I mean, if you stumble and bumble, I mean, they earned that World Series last year when they went bullpen days against the Padres and beat them. So they earned it.
They definitely earned it. You got to tip a hat to that. But yeah, I mean, LA has if you look at all of sports, like you talk about the Rams and the Dodgers and the Lakers and everything going on. I mean, they just got trophies coming out the wazoo.
Okay.
They're not cursed. Okay. Let's keep on moving. There's a bunch of more Dodger stuff. I'm going to bounce around and let's go to Hitman. He goes, hey, the Padres' problem is not pitching. It's hitting with runners in scoring position.
The batting order is an issue. It's so streaky. Everybody right now is running around the streets. Hey, Machado, he's hot. Well, that's granted because he hit a bunch of home runs against the Albuquerque Isotopes pitching staff.
He had a grand slam last night.
Exactly. So he's got to hit for power, and he's not hit for power. Tatis has hit a little bit more for power, but nobody else has. Now, as great as Laureano was at trade deadline, Laureano went into a hole, was 4 for 34. And as good as O'Hearn has been in spurts, O'Hearn was 3 for 31 within the last week or so.
Yeah.
So it's a problem. But to me, the bigger issue, who is your starting pitcher once you give the ball to somebody aside from Nick Pivetta? That, to me, Hitman, is who are you going to trust in that rotation? Because at this point, I don't think you can trust anybody. Cease has got the strikeout performance and the experience. He's also got an ERA of 4.59. And at this point, Vasquez, at this point, Yu Darvish does not look like Yu Darvish. I think they got a lot of issues beyond Pivetta, who I think is a peripheral Cy Young Award candidate.
Well, they're going to need a surprise. Last year it was Walker Buehler for the Dodgers. He was just lights out in the playoffs, and no one really expected that. And so the Padres are going to need something like that. But I just want to make one other comment here about the batting order. Padre Twitter, their heads have been exploding. I mean, every day, they win or lose, it's like an emotional train wreck on Padre Twitter, all the fans interacting. And there's this one dude online, his name's Brent. And Brent is, you talk about a negative Nelly, I give you a hard time. This guy is so negative on the Padres, he's almost like poking the Padre fan just to piss him off. But anyways, he always makes a valid point about lineup construction with the Padres, where you have a rise in the 2-hole, and he has the second worst OPS of any of the 9 guys in the batting order. And the only one that's worse is Freddie Fermin, who bats 9th. So why is a rise continuously rolled out in that number 2 spot?
That's a good question. He does put the ball in play, but he has no slug at all.
His OPS is like 702. I mean, it's below league average.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, his batting average is lower than it historically has been the last 3 years. But if he doesn't get a single, he doesn't do anything.
But if he gets singles and gets on base and he creates stuff for guys behind him.
But he's not doing that. I mean, that's the point.
Not to the point of hitting 338.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So it just makes you wonder. And then meanwhile, Cronenworth is secretly, sort of quietly having a decent year.
Last 15 minutes, yes.
So there's the Debbie Downer again.
Your buddies on Padres social media, any of these guys watch our podcast?
Some of them do.
Well, some of them you need to tell all of them to get off their ass and get on the air and fans forum here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's keep on going and let's talk to our friend Lenny. He goes, Jack Eichel, Mitch Marner are the dynamic duo for the Golden Knights this year. Can't wait. Love your broadcast. Go VGK, go Pods.
We do talk a lot of puck here. It's going to be interesting. They're trying to get Eichel signed to a contract extension. There's this storyline kind of in the shadows right now with NHL camps open today. The unsigned guys. I mean, just think about this. Kiprasov in Minnesota, Connor McDavid in Edmonton, Eichel in Vegas. Those are all $14, $15, $16 million per year players, and each of them is waiting to see what the other guy gets. I don't know how much longer this is going to go, what kind of distraction it's going to be, which is going to be the first guy to sign. I think Eichel will be the first guy to sign for whatever the number is, and that'll be interesting what Connor McDavid does versus what the guy in Minnesota does. There's a lot of pressure points in Minnesota. That Bill Guerin, the president and general manager, should trade Kiprasov right now. It's a 50-goal scorer, 40-goal scorer. Trade him because you can't bankrupt your team. I mean, if you don't have that kind of money to pay one guy 16 mil, or he's already turned down 16, he wants even more.
Or of the 3 guys you mentioned, none of them are unrestricted free agents, right?
It will be a year from today.
A year from today. Okay, so it's an extension, going into the final year of the deal. Okay, because some of those names, I can't imagine they would just be sitting around on the open market, The
question is, if somebody's an agent's going to take a player and try to push it to 17 mil or 19 mil per season, how many clubs can afford that?
They're making more bank, man. Everyone's making money.
Yeah, but everybody's contract goes up based on what the last star got.
Yeah, but that happens in all the sports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hockey hotline is always open for you. You join us again, Lenny.
Okay, here's an interesting breaking news from Hector. He goes, Lee, it was just announced Clayton Kershaw will retire at the end of the season. What is your favorite memory? I won't ask John because we know it's his crying Kershaw.
He's just a warrior. He stands for so many great things as a pitcher, as a player, as a person. I gravitate towards guys who are cooperative with the media, and he has been. I gravitate towards guys who do a lot of stuff in their community from a charitable foundation, and he does that thing in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Texas, does the same thing in LA. He's just a superhuman being. And then just the dedication of coming back from all the injuries and all the surgeries late in his career to still be dominant. He should win the Comeback Player of the Year award. So I think he's a great citizen. Obviously, you dial up his career statistics, wins, losses, ERA, that's Hall of Fame credentials in Cooperstown. Think about that.
Yeah. Okay. As a guy that was raised as a Giants fan and is now converted to be a Padre fan, Clayton Kershaw is like one of those guys that you want to hate, but you can't think of any real good reason to hate him.
Except he beats your ass.
Yeah. Except he beats our ass and he wears blue, So I don't know. Just for me, I just the unusual windup always stood out to me. The way he sticks his arms way in the air, and that curveball, the break on that curveball was unbelievable. You think about some of the injuries and things he's had. His career's really sputtered here at the end.
I always wanted him to go out on his own terms,
Oh yeah,
but I hate to see a guy go out with a record of 2-9 that can't get anybody out. Yet he's going out on his own terms. He came back and he's willed himself. What's his record? 11-2, 11-3.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's a hell of a player. I mean he's right up there on the Mount Rushmore of all-time Dodger pitchers.
Yep. Thank you. That's a really great comment, Hector. Thanks for being with us.
Okay, and let's go here. The one Mr. Smith. There's two pieces to this. I want to put them both up. The first is like what I saw of Edwin Sheehan. He has an arm for starting, but the Dodgers have no one dependable in the bullpen. I've already had my say about Roberts, but come on, guys. Friedman's done miracles, and then he follows it up and says, the Dodgers have driven pitchers into the ground from Roberts' first day. They've been a wasteland for pitchers. There are a few who are standing up to Roberts. Roberts is expendable. Had to say that.
Well, they might make him expendable, but, they gave him a contract extension. I don't think they're going to eat 5 years of his future contract. Sheehan is interesting. There's a train of thought that I got that instead of all this conversation about Ohtani maybe being a one-inning closer, they put Ohtani in the rotation and let Sheehan go back to the bullpen because Sheehan's got velocity that he could be a long reliever, or maybe he's a trustworthy one-inning guy when you need a closer. Because I can't trust these other guys in the bullpen right now. I mean, as good as Trinan has been in chunks of his career, as dynamic and overpowering as Tanner Scott was here in San Diego, you can't trust these guys in postseason play. So maybe Sheehan is the guy that gets flipped and Ohtani goes back in and stays in the rotation. Keep an eye on that storyline.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the Dave Roberts criticism, because we knew him here in San Diego. I mean, you have a relationship with him. I know, but he's a good dude, so, but there are a lot of, criticism of how he manages the game and how he manages that staff.
But is that him or is that coming from upstairs? Because all the analytics guys just give him the sheet of this is what we recommend you do in certain situations.
Well, do we know the answer to that question?
Well, I think that is the answer.
That is the answer. Okay. So you think he's got one arm tied behind his back?
Well, I just think it's corporate.
So all the nerds like on computers are telling him what to do?
Yeah. This is how we run all the stuff through the computer.
Well, they should fire the nerds. I mean, the way that bullpen has just been blowing up and all the pitching injuries, I mean, it's clearly not working.
But there's no way to go get pitching now. This is what you have. This is on your roster. There can be no acquisitions or additions after September 1st. This is who you're going to dance with when you get to postseason.
The one Mr. Smith said that, Friedman works miracles.
Not now. He can't.
No, but what has he got now?
He didn't do it at the trade deadline.
I think the starters just got to go 9, go play some old school baseball.
Or Blake Snell just stand on the mound and say, no,
right. Well,
it's my game. You're not taking me out of my game.
But that's always, by the way, an interesting dynamic when a pitcher is removed and to see the emotion. And, there's a certain baseball code, that a pitcher is not supposed to
show up the manager.
Yeah.
But there's a stare and a glare.
Yeah. And it's you're not sure they're friends or they're enemies. It's just a weird vibe.
Well, that happened to Blake Snell in Tampa. They took him out of a game in which he was dominating with the Tampa Bay Rays. And
well, that was in the World Series against the Dodgers.
Yeah, at a meltdown.
Yeah.
Steam was coming out of his ears.
Because that's when they would only have him go like 5 innings.
That's right.
Because you need to go 100 pitches in 5 innings. Yeah. So, all right. Keep moving. Okay, let's go here. Our friend Callan. This afternoon, gents. What's the big NHL training camp questions in your mind? Crosby's future in Pittsburgh, something in Anaheim or LA? Reaction.
Well, we just talked about this whole Mason McTavish situation in Anaheim. No show in camp today. They can't screw this up. The kid deserves money. He deserves state-of-the-art money. If other fourth-year guys are getting it, then he's scored 60 goals in 2.5 years. Or I should say 3.5 years. He deserves a payday. I hope they don't trade him. But, Pat Verbeek, he's been tough to deal with. I mean, he got rid of Drysdale, which shocked me. He got rid of Trevor Zegras, which really stunned me in the offseason trade. Geez, I don't think you can afford to trade him. That's one item. Is there a homecoming coming for Sidney Crosby? Is he going to wind up in Montreal, which has got cap space and a lot of young players, but they don't have a star? Maybe that's going to happen. I also think, what is life like in Toronto after Mitch Marner? Half the Maple Leaf fans said, yeah, he's like Juan Soto, Mr. Me, Myself, and I. He scored all those goals, 223 goals in his career. Did they ever freaking win anything in Toronto? The answer has been no. So there'll be a void there because that goal scoring is going to be gone. So the pressure on Austin Matthews is greater now than it's probably ever been, even though he scored 60 goals a couple seasons ago for the Maple Leafs. So just off the top of my head, those are storylines I think you need to probably pay attention to.
I love how the fans connect with you using your gloss, right? And here, reaction, when did you cook that one up?
Just off the top of my head, just kind of when you're doing sports talk radio, my whole theory was, here's all the information, here's the opinion, and then, by the way, I want to push a hot button to get you to react, get you to respond, get you to get off your ass and get on the phone. So I started that, reaction. And then the other one, I stole a phrase from somebody in England. What say you? There's a little angst when I delivered that. So, yeah.
Well, it's classic stuff.
It's called shtick.
It's shtick, but the beauty of it is
you are right. I am bleeping bro.
Well, you are, and it's cool though that you can just be hanging out with some dudes watching game, drinking beer, and you could slip in a little Hacksaw shtick into the conversation, and they get it, and everyone knows.
No, because cool. they say it before I even think about saying it. I don't say it. That's like the people that when I do grocery shopping yell at me. I'm at the meat counter. Show me your lightning bolt.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hacksaw on the wild. Okay, let's go to Flegel. He goes, Jared Goff resuscitated a dead career start in Los Angeles and is building an impressive offensive power in Detroit. Your opinion on how this happened? Any historical comparisons?
I think that good team around him. He grew up on the job. Dan Campbell mandated, you will do this way. And he became a winner, but they put good people around him and he was not getting beat up all the time. And then they played great defense. So he was always in games and had the chance to win. Right player, right set of circumstances. And there was nothing wrong with the guy that was there. I mean, that turned out to be a win-win trade for both. I mean, the Rams got a leader and a veteran in Matthew Stafford, and Detroit got a younger guy who became part of the rebuild under a firebrand coach and Dan Campbell. So Goff to Detroit, it's really been special. And both teams have got really good players around him. Matthew Stafford played behind just horrific lines in Detroit, just got pounded. And Goff was a young quarterback learning on a job as the Rams were trying to rebuild. So they both arrived new locations, both got good coaches. I mean, I bet Sean McVay's had a big impact. His fingerprints are also on Matthew Stafford's success, like Dan's fingerprints are on Goff.
Yeah, it was one of those win-win trades for sure.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, the historical comparisons that Flegel asks about. You hear stories about baseball players sort of reinventing themselves as a new player and come out and they have a second life.
Mm-hmm.
But in football, I'm trying to think of an example of that. I don't know, would Steve Young fit that category? Because when he was with Tampa, he wasn't that good, but the team around him wasn't that good.
They were terrible. And he was a left-handed running quarterback rather than a passing quarterback. And he went to San Francisco and got involved with Bill Walsh and everybody else there. And then they put good people around him and they refined him as a quarterback. And he became a great player. Normally, though, you're thinking about guys' second careers, it's somebody who's been old or injured, has come back and done very, very well.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example of that.
Off the top of my head, at this point, I can't just pull that out of the sky. But
it's actually a modern day example of this. I think it's Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
He was like on the edge of a cliff, about to have no more career in the NFL, and now look at him.
He was with 3 different clubs and had no success.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland was an organizational failure. He wasn't ready. And you forget that he was with the Rams. You forget he was with Carolina. He goes to Tampa. Suddenly, that's a good team around him. And the one thing Tampa had not had was a catalytic quarterback. I mean, because they had Mike Evans and they have Chris Godwin and they have tight ends they throw to and they play lights out defense. All of a sudden, Baker Mayfield winds up in the Buccaneer colors and he's got good people around him. He's never had this before. And he's always been a winner. I'm going back to his college days. I mean, he obviously carried Oklahoma. So now he's quite a player. I think he's quite a guy. He's quite a leader too.
Troy Aikman talks a lot about Baker Mayfield during the broadcast. I guess they are friends off the field. So it's interesting to hear that perspective about Baker Mayfield being a competitor, and he's like a linebacker, in a quarterback body. He's kind of has that mindset. And it's pretty special.
Yeah, and Aikman talks about Baker Mayfield, not just the player, Baker Mayfield, the person.
Yeah.
Because I got friends still in Cleveland. Say he was a hell of a guy in Cleveland, just not a very good situation to be around him. So, but Baker Mayfield's made himself into a star. He's got a big payday too, and he's got a pretty good football team around him.
Yeah, by the way, I like those TV commercials where he was like living in the Browns stadium.
Yeah.
Who was that? State Farm? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, they fix the water over here.
Yeah, that was
they
pretty
pick
fun.
up the trash here, and again, he's got persona.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
really kind of.
He really does.
Okay, move on.
Okay, let's go here to Emmanuel. He goes, the salary cap is BS. I think we're talking about Kawhi Leonard. Just pay them what they're worth. If cheap owners can't afford players, then maybe they should sell the teams.
Yeah, but you could say that about baseball. And I mean, we got 6 to 8 to 10 teams in baseball that aren't paying anywhere near the amount of salary a lot of these other franchises are, and they're all getting revenue money. I mean, they're getting TV contract money and revenue stream money and revenue sharing, and they're just not spending it. So there's a bad disparity in baseball. The differences in the NBA and the NFL and the NHL, they all have a cap or a luxury tax at the top, but they also have a floor to spending where everybody's got to spend close to that bottom figure. Baseball does not have that, which is why I think there's terrible disparity and a lot of anger in baseball. But at the end of the day, you cannot have people circumventing the rules as it relates to the NBA salary cap. And that's why the depths of this Kawhi Leonard thing seem to be getting deeper and deeper and worse as we go day by day, week by week here. And the stuff that just came out today from ESPN, I mean, it paints Kawhi Leonard and his people in a really, really bad light. So we'll find out what's fact or fiction. But the NFL has really dealt severely with anybody violated the NBA bylaws as it relates to draft picks, salaries, etc. So something bad could be happening to the Clippers if they're of the opinion that Steve Ballmer was part of this. I just have a tough time signing off that Ballmer would do anything illegal because he's been such a great businessman and a great citizen. I don't think he's corrupt. There's a bunch of people that are bad citizens that own franchises that made a lot of money but are bad people.
Just a tangent to this. We were just talking about Robert Redford, and I was watching an excerpt of one of the All President's Men, and it was about the money passing hands, and did it go to the committee to reelect the president and all this stuff.
Follow the money.
But in this case here, it's similar, because if it wasn't for the Clipper, not Ballmer, but the other owner, like having to pull $2 million out of his pocket, to give to this forest company to pay Kawhi. If it wasn't for that, I think you could have some plausible deniability, that there was an arm's length distance between all of this. But I think if you're if you're an agent or you're a player, you're going to try to get as much as you can. I get that. We all do that in life
within the rules.
Within the rules. But I mean, if they said, hey man, we can get you $30 million a year, and by the way, this other company, they're real friendly with the Clippers, they're helping sponsor our stadium, we could probably get them to help kick in another 20.
But you can't circumvent the rules.
But see, to me, if they did that, they just sort of helped kind of bridge an endorsement deal. As long as it's not Clippers money going to it, it's some other company's money, then I think it's totally fine. But if it's the Clippers money that's going outside and then coming back in, then it's like money laundering, and that's an evasive move.
The owners passed the bylaws that we're not going to allow circumvention. This is the cap, and the New York Knicks and the Cavaliers and the Portland Trailblazers and San Antonio, we're all operating here.
But brokering a relationship between a player and an endorsement contract is not circumvention. That's just networking.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you know August 16th of next year, I'll be looking for a new co-host to do this podcast because John is going to circumvent the income tax rules and will probably be in prison. But it's all about him making money, even though the IRS code is this. Jeez, John, you drive me nuts.
Okay, yeah, I do. All right, let's go here to Michael. And he says, will the Vegas Golden Knights win their division this year?
They're really good, really deep. Now they get Mitch Marner and all that firepower. I guess the only question I have is, does Vegas have the right goaltending? The goaltending has been skitterish. That's been a big issue. But they've had some injury problems too, especially on the defensive side. They've had a bunch of guys get hurt in the last couple of years, but they're really good. But until you take out the Florida Panthers, you're not a Stanley Cup winner. And Florida's damn good, and they got virtually all their guys back, although Kachuk is not going to start the season because of that sports hernia injury. But so it's a grind of a season.
You know, our good friend Lenny, he always follows us and comments on the videos. He's a big Vegas guy, you know, and he loves talking about his Golden Knights. But, you know, how long have they been in the league? It's only been about 4 years or so.
No, it's been more than that.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's been, I don't know, 7 or 8, but they had success just like that.
They did, and they had all the Vegas showmanship. I remember when they first broke ground as a franchise. It was like they rolled out, you know, Caesar's Palace, you know, the dancing girls and everything else. Are they still doing that?
Yeah. I mean, it's an event.
Yeah.
But everything in Vegas at a red stoplight is an event.
Well, you've been hearing about the economy in Vegas kind of taking a downturn.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how that's going to affect some of these pro teams.
I don't think so. Fans have money to spend on their teams, and they spend it on their teams.
Yeah, they do.
But it's going to be intriguing. I don't pay as much attention to Vegas as I pay, obviously, to the LA Kings and what the Ducks could become. Kings got to get this done. I mean, the Kings are right there, and they've been right there for 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row, and just have not been able to get around Edmonton. And now the Kings, as we did on the hockey segment, the Kings are really on the clock. I mean, it has to happen immediately here. They have so much age and so much money tied up in these veteran players. But listen, we'll talk hockey week by week because we like puck here.
Hockey Hotline. Okay, let's go to Just Good Sports. He goes, hey, we need sports more than ever right now. You guys talk about changes through the decades. Do we need sports safety standards that are lagging behind? Are MLB pitching injuries open for safety investigations?
There's been a lot of dialogue, but at this point in time, there's only been one thing. There's a story that was breaking today. We didn't cover it because it can't cover everything every day. There's a story breaking. Maybe we'll talk about it on Monday. Major League Baseball just put out today a 17-page memo banning all scouts from having access to any high school prospect or college prospect in the offseason. What's been going on, John? I only saw fragments of it. I didn't have enough time to study the whole thing. What's happened is with the growth of high school sports and all these travel teams and all these off-season tournaments, notably in the warm weather states, there's no downtime for kids to recover from injury or just to rest or build. And baseball today, there'll probably be a big story about it tomorrow on the national wires. 17-page document that says you cannot have access starting this October 15th. There will be a blackout October 15th till, is it January 15th or April 15th? Anyhow, it's a long window in which scouts will not be allowed access to any workouts, any meetings. There will be no travel teams and things of that nature. In other words, they're mandating, notably for pitchers, that all high school pitchers be in shutdown mode the entire offseason. Now, it's up to the kid if he wants to do weight training, if he and his family want to do private throwing, but clubs cannot put pressure on kids. You got to do this, you got to do this,
Interesting. Well, the kids are overworked, and you know, in baseball, they're playing 12 months a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder, that's just probably for pros, right? It's not for the college recruiters.
Yes.
Oh, for them too.
College, MLB teams and scouts will have no access to college pitchers, high school pitchers. High school players are college players.
But college recruiters can still scout high school players.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know, potential scholarship opportunities. You know, it's just fun though, is when my kids were playing ball in high school, you know, you'd be in the stands and then you'd see like one of the scouts show up, and sometimes they'd wear a logo of the team they represented or the college they represented, but sometimes they didn't, but you knew they were a scout just by what they wore and how they behaved.
They'd want to tip their hand.
Yeah, it would be some of that, you know, but it's an interesting little bit of gamesmanship, and you see the parents in the stands are like, hey, there's a scout from the Cubs that's over there. You know, it's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. So anyhow, it's a great you asked that question. This just came down, I'd say at 11 o'clock on a Thursday morning, and there'll be a lot more publicity about the blackout and the limited access, the shutdown access to high school kids and college kids. There's also a survey. The American School of Medicine just put out a survey today, which is part of this embargo. Let me think if I word this correctly. 80% of the high school and college pitchers who go to the MLB workout camp, 80% of the pitchers who have to have the physicals have either shoulder or elbow damage. And 71% of the high school kids that have been in these showcases.
Oh, like the perfect game, maybe. Yeah.
Have pending problems.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the byproduct of a way to control it is you limit how much pitching these kids do and how much pressure points are placed on these kids to get ready to get drafted or signed.
Yeah.
Kids need a shutdown period. Kids need a time to rehab.
Well, and I think that was the beauty of old school where they would play different sports in different seasons, kind of work different parts of your body. But yeah, now people, they say, you're in the 6th grade, you need to specialize, and it's pretty nuts.
Okay, let's do some social media here before we put a lid on this thing.
Before we put a lid on this thing, okay, let's go here. There's still a little bit of smack talk with the Raiders. Let's go here to Lucan. He goes, Lee, I think you've never talked about that 63-21 whooping your Los Angeles Chargers took from the Raiders way back when.
Oh, we did.
And you're right. We talk about our past, but at least we have a past worth talking about. Good night now.
Thank you. Thank you for following. You may disagree with the host, but that's okay. But we did talk extensively. And I'll tell you what, the Chargers have never forgotten Antonio Pierce and his comment about running up that score. You know who these guys are? I'm leaving my starters in. Screw them. Because I wound up getting Antonio Pierce fired at the end of the day. But no, we talk Raiders, we talk Chargers, etc. And it's great that you got those shiny, dusty, dented trophies in your closet. But the reality is, just go back since 2010. That's all I want. Homework assignment for Raider Nation. Since 2010, please tell me what the combined win-loss record of Raider football is from then to now. I bet it's 100 games under 500. Have not been very good lately, John.
No, they haven't. No, and I'm hopeful this season.
Sure.
But I want to go look at that one comment. Good night now. Now, did you invent that, or was that Rome?
No, I did.
Because Rome uses that shtick, I think, to this day.
I'm still waiting for my royalty check. Yes.
When was the last time you talked to Jim Rome?
Oh, it's been years. Again, he's not here. He's up in L.A., and then he goes to vacation in Wisconsin and Montana, and I cross paths with him every once in a while down here, but not. I bet it's probably been 5 years. And he left. He left our stations, and he went off and did really well on his own career. And he's never come back to the reunions. We have a whole bunch of people from 690, 1090, and we get together at Christmas time. But I understand he's got a family, and he lives in L.A. He does not live down here, so he's never really interacted with us ever since he became a superstar. Which everybody chooses their own path as to what's important in their life and where they were, etc. Me, I go back to Appalachia once a year to see friends I worked with when I first broke into radio.
Yeah, we all have
We all
different
come
things.
from somewhere.
We all do different things in our life. I know. I'm a big fan of Rome. I think he does great work. But you were terrific too. You're still terrific. But that was the cool thing about 690 is there all those different personalities had different angles, different ways to look at the game, and it's fun how Rome packages the hacksaw shtick into his gloss.
That's okay.
And it's sort of like gets a second life, out there.
Send the royalty check. Just tell me you respect me. That's all. Let's move on. A couple more here.
Okay, let's go to Aztec for Life. And this is from Aaron. He goes, Sean Lewis speaks in catchphrases and one-liners. Athletic alumni like me aren't engaged because nobody stewards us. And I'm an Aztec for Life and a 4-year starter letter winner in soccer. Nobody builds community in the lowest hanging fruit, the athletic team's alumni base.
Well, the product hasn't been very good. I mean, I might be in the minority. I just happen to think the specialness we had during Rocky Long, Brady Hoke, for the most part, was phenomenal. I mean, you go 106-48. That's a real accomplishment, Aaron. But let's give Sean Lewis some time. Are there too many catchphrases? Is there too much coach speak for me? Hell yes. But I know where he's been. I've seen what he's done. I know people in the conferences that he's coached in that have spoken in glowing terms. He just needs time. He needs his quarterback to have a good game this weekend. He needs his quarterback to be there and stay there. He needs this transfer portal set of rules now to work in their favor rather than against him. But he's no different than anybody else. I mean, I got friends at Wyoming that are just going through a terrible time with player retainment only because of the NIL and transfer portal and the lack of resources at one school state that doesn't have a population base to recruit to. So It's everywhere. It's in lots of different places. Changes are coming in college football, but I'm just willing to give Sean Lewis a bigger window to make this thing grow. But I am shocked the community and that's a San Diego State failure of the athletic department, that they did not create an environment to welcome all those displaced Charger fans to come be part of the product. Because when the Chargers left, Rocky and Brady were still cooking here and doing a good job.
Yeah, and that was before COVID hit, where everything went sideways. But isn't this weekend, aren't they like having a special salute to Rocky Long and the team? I don't know, was it from 10 years ago or something?
Yeah, the 2015 team, et cetera. But, that's why they gave all these tickets away, trying to get people at least come in the building and cheer. But, if you come in the building and you get beat by Cal by 35 points, does it help you? I don't know. They're just in a tough place now. And the only thing that's going to change it is winning, and winning big, and winning with throwing the damn ball down the field. And a lot was expected, and nothing's been delivered yet. But let's give Sean Lewis a window.
Keep giving the ball to Lucky Sutton.
Yeah,
5.9 yards per rush. That's all you need.
Okay.
Okay. This is an interesting comment. We talked boxing in our last
Yes.
podcast, and this is from Sonny. He goes, wrestling has all the flash and drama. Cage fighting has all the brutality. And then to make things worse, along comes a guy named Jake Paul, who turns boxing into a clown show. Will boxing ever make a big comeback? No. People who think so are wishing and hoping. Boxing will never be the same. Our childhoods will never return as much as we want them to. We're only left with our memories and the fading sound of punches and bells as they ring into that forever night.
Well, it's a different aura. And obviously media has had a big part in the growth and the explosion of WWE, women's wrestling, and all that. And again, the Olympic programs have failed. We're not developing boxers, but maybe there's other sports for these guys to go to. I don't know. I asked the question on my mini poll on Twitter, is America only enthused about blood sports? It kind of seems that way to me right now, but we grew up in an unbelievable era. I mean, I grew up as a kid watching black and white TV and watching the Friday night cavalcade of sports fights on New York television, black and white TV. And that was late 50s into the 60s. And then obviously, John and I have talked extensively about so many great boxers, from Ali through Tyson and all that. And then those other weight classes which took over, the Sugar Ray Leonards and the Haglers and the Hitman Hearns. I mean, that was really special. All that's gone. And maybe it's because the Olympic programs are not the feeder system any longer, or maybe it's because guys have gone to do other things in the cage fighting, UFC, et cetera.
Yeah, I think it might have been Steve Hartman may have said this like 20, 30 years ago, how in the 1950s, I mean, it was baseball was number one, college football was number two, and boxing was number three.
Yep.
And if you were in New York City, I mean, that was like, that was
a mecca.
That was before everything moved to Vegas. But there are a lot of different fighting that's going on out there, all the different flavors of fighting. But I'll tell you this is our buddy, Jerry, invited me to go with him down to North Park. And it was, what's the guy's name? Archie Moore.
Yes.
That was the boxer from Ramona. His son was running this boxing group. It was called ABC, like always be, I can't remember, always boxing something. Can't remember what it stood for, but they had these young kids out there, like 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds. And it was all safe. They had the headgear and it was the class, by weight and everything, but it was really cool to see the way not only these kids took a lot of pride in fighting and everything that comes with that, but their family and friends were all there to support them. And there are, some sports nerds like us that just sort of like the whole ambience of the event. So there's still a lot of boxing going on, but it's sort of like tucked away in the corner.
Well, it's at the grassroots level, but that's where it used to be. And that's what it grew into. And then you went to Gold Gloves. The Gold Glove tournaments in New York were just unbelievable. When I was a kid growing up, I mean, Gold Glove boxing was huge. And that was a stepping off point that took you to the Olympics, et cetera. But all that's gone away.
Yeah. It's a different world. And thank God for the Rocky movies.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast.